I'm going to start this one a little bit differently than I did before. I'm actually going to go out to marquiiq.com and log in, and I'll show you guys why. There was a release in Tableau last week, and I kind of want to walk you through this dialogue that pops up that you'll get sometimes that we haven't had the opportunity to show in any other training. So I thought, oh, this would be kind of cool to go through that experience. But before we do that, I just kind of want to start off with this statement. 80% of ERP data is never touched after it's created. We hear this all the time from customers. And, for us, we're saying, like, why is that? Like, why do we spend millions of dollars as companies buying ERP systems, and then we spend even millions more hiring people like Marquis or other third-party data providers, or hiring internal people? It doesn't matter, anyone who's helping you access data. But there's still this belief that 80% of the data is never touched. And what we find is there's really three reasons for that. The reports that are built are hard to find. Like a lot of times it's very simple. People don't even know it exists, right? It's hard to communicate with an entire company of 1,000 employees that, hey, there's this new report that was built that'd be really helpful. Or even if you do know where the report is, the report's not really built how you want it, right? Like the filters aren't exactly what you want. And then it has a line graph and a bar graph, or it's a table of data that kind of is close, but I need it to have one more attribute to be effective for me. So there's this misalignment of kind of what the tool does versus what I want. And then ultimately, people just resort to downloading it to Excel. And that takes a lot of time, and a lot of people don't have time. So sometimes people are like, well, I think I'm close enough with this data to make a guess and move forward. So, our belief at Marquis, and we preach this internally, is that accessing your data should be as easy as checking your email. Like that's kind of what we're shooting for. We're not there yet. Nobody's there yet. But ultimately, we all open up Outlook or whatever email engine we have, and like we go, can read email, respond, and all that sort of stuff. File it away. It's generally it's a pretty easy experience. And that's what we're shooting for at Marquis. So what I want to show you guys today is some tips and tricks on how to find your data, how to interact with it, how to share it, kind of break down some of the barriers that exist, make it a little bit easier. We won't get to it's as easy as checking our email, but hopefully we get a little bit closer. And that's the goal of this beginner webinar. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Paul Osser. I'll run this. I'm the instructor of this training. Chelsea runs our customer success team. I think most of you know her because she emailed you to get you on this webinar. She also sets up and manages all of your accounts. She'll be kind of your primary point of contact if you have any issues connecting to Marquis or Tableau at all. Like a lot of times people get new phones, they need MFA reset. Just send an email to customer success at Marquis Data or contact Chelsea, and we'll get that reset for you. So she's going to be your primary contact, and I'll walk you through some of the tutorial today. A couple of housekeeping items. As you guys have already probably figured out, you're all muted. Post questions to the chat. I'll sometimes be looking over here because the chat's going off. Chelsea will monitor that, and I will as well. This is being recorded, so all the data I'm going to show today is fake data. Everything I'm going to show you, you can share. You'll all have access to the video, so if you want to keep it for later, you can just download the video and keep it. If you want to share it internally, post it on a SharePoint site internally, all of that is totally fine. We support it. There's nothing in this session that's proprietary or sensitive to anybody, any one of our clients. At the end, Chelsea is going to post a link in the chat to fill out a quick survey. It's literally 5 questions, and it does help us kind of improve the webinar each time. We do read all your feedback and have tailored this webinar based on survey feedback. So if you would, that would be awesome. It's kind of an exchange for a free webinar. If you can just give us free information about how to improve, we're not going to sell you anything. You guys are all already customers, right? So there's no fear of that. And with that, I'm going to jump in to Tableau. Today, I'm going to do it a little differently for any of you that have sat on a previous webinar. We have a website called marquiiq.com. We set this up to help clients access their Tableau environment. Tableau sometimes will change the URLs and put you in different regions. So we said, hey, we could bring everybody to Marquis IQ. Click the orange button. The orange button will launch Tableau and help you sign in. The other thing about this site is it does have downloaded PDFs and videos on how to reset your MFA or how to, navigate, use the navigation bar, etc. So we do post videos here based on feedback or common things that we're helping clients with. So it's all free. You can just come out here, check it out. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the orange button and I'm going to log in. So it opens a new window and asks me to log in. I have a demo account I'm going to log into. Some of you, based on how you have your permissions set, don't go through this login process. We have you connected to your corporate login and you bypass this. But some others actually go through this process. But the reason I went through this today is because I want to show you a screen that pops up for me today, and it just started showing up today. So I'm clicking my MFA here. Oh no, what just happened? Sorry, let me do this again. There we go. Sorry, it didn't scan my face in time. Tableau upgrade coming soon. So this is the box that we don't control. Tableau, we all are running in Tableau Cloud. So we all are sharing a Tableau Cloud environment. And every once in a while, I think every quarter there's a major release from Tableau, and every month there is a minor release. And so you'll get this sometimes. I did want to just show it just because it came out yesterday. You can hit close and you'll be reminded of it again tomorrow. You can click on the release notes if you want to see what's being released. I would encourage that. They improve Tableau Cloud with every release. There's new features. I'll talk about one today that's just showed up one day before a training we had recently. So I'd encourage you to go check that out. I typically will just say, don't show this again and close it. Okay, so now we're in Tableau portal. And here's where Tableau offers you the ability to find and interact with your content. I'm going to focus on finding content first. And I'm going to talk about real briefly. Sometimes I spend too much time on this. I've learned talk faster and move into the dashboard. The menu in which Tableau has offered you is on the left. Favorites, recents, I'll talk about shortly. Collections, I'll talk about. But the Explore button is really the most powerful. Explore is where you go see what's available, right? And you could see that by default, your screens probably look something like mine. You have a Marquis IQ University, and then many of you will just have one folder that's just your company name, like I have here, a Superstore. Others on the call have 20 folders, right? Because you're using your own Tableau site. But either way, you all should have a Marquis IQ University folder, which we'll use today. And we're in what's called project view. So I'm exploring the projects. Projects in Tableau are essentially folders. I don't know why they call them projects. They're folders. And folders can be part of other folders. So if I click into Superstore, there will be other folders, right? Oh, data management folder. I can click into that. You can see where you're at from this little breadcrumb at the top. I went from Explore to Superstore to data management. If I want to go back, I could click the Superstore button, or I can click Explore, or I can hit the back button, etc. So those are folders. Every client organizes their content differently, right? So just note that Folders are hierarchical. Folders exist within folders. Folders are typically where we assign permissions. So if, hey, we only want salespeople to look at this, we want marketing people to look at this other folder, we would typically assign permissions at the folder level. So some people can see folders that others can't. That's typically how we do permissioning. While you're on this Explore menu, you can change what you're looking at. So this drop-down menu at the top gives you the option to look to explore different things. What I would recommend most of you do is click on Views. Views in Tableau are dashboards, right? So dashboards and reports, it's the same term, a report and a dashboard. Tableau uses the word view. There is a concept of a workbook, which is like in Excel, you have an Excel file with different tabs. Tableau has a workbook with different views, very synonymous to Excel. But if you click on Views, now what you get is a list of all of the reports and dashboards that you have access to, right? So in this demo account that I have access to these 5 dashboards. You guys, everyone on this call is going to have a lot more dashboards on their screen right now than I do, because you have content for your client. So if you want to go find a dashboard that, or you want to see what dashboards are out there, click Explore, change this to Views, and this is all of them, right? And within this list, if you want to start filtering to narrow it down, because you might have 100 here, you can click this little toggle button, and the toggle button lets you search on different things. I could search sales, for example, and now only reports that have sales in the keyword show up, right? So you can use the filter panel on the right to do an Explorer view search. You could search folders, you could search views, you could search anything that you want using this button. So I'm going to go ahead and close this window. I'll show you a couple other things on this screen, and then we're going to jump straight into a dashboard. Okay, so there's an icon they added recently that's called Project Tree, which is nice because you can kind of see all the folders that you have access to without drilling down like I did when we started, and be like, oh, what's in the operations folder, or what's in the sandbox, etc. This is a nice way to navigate your project hierarchy very quickly. You could even search projects. You could say sales. You could see, oh, I have a folder out there that has sales in the word, and maybe I'll go check that out. So that is what's called the project search or the project explorer. You can toggle that on using this little button in the top left. The last thing I'm going to cover on kind of finding content is the global search bar, which is where I would start doing anything. This will search all the content types that you have access to: folders, workbooks, views, etc. It's like a Google search. I could type in sales. You could see I have a few sales views. There's also a sales folder. So this is just kind of like, you know what? I don't really remember what Paul said during that webinar. I'm just going to go up and see if there's anything up there for sales. This box also searches report description. So if somebody that built the report kind of put a summary on it, it will search that summary as well. So it's the best option to find content that you may not know exists. And it kind of gives you a little, and it sorts it by priority. So it's like, hey, this one's accessed a lot, this one's, accessed less, etc. So it's good. It kind of organizes the search results how it thinks you would want them. All right, so I'm going to click home again real quick. I'm going to talk about 2 other things, and then we'll move on to dashboards. Favorites. Most of us only access 1 to 5 dashboards for our job, right? So Tableau's got 100 out there, but I really only care about a couple. Favorites is a good way to just sift through all that, right? So when I come to like this dashboard here, the sales trend analysis, maybe that's the dashboard I look at most. I could just click the star button. When I click it, it fills in. That means it's a favorite. If I unclick it, it's removed from favorites, right? So if I go to my favorites menu, which is usually how I start my day, whatever I have favorited in here is what will show up. So if I go back and put that dashboard on a favorite, come in here, it's going to be right there. So when I come in, these are the bread and butter dashboards that I use every single day. And those are called favorites. You can kind of favorite anything. You could see I have a collection favorited here. Anywhere you see the star icon means you can favorite it. You can favorite a folder, you can favorite a collection, a dashboard, a workbook. It doesn't really matter. Which leads me into what's a collection, right? Collections are the most underused feature in Tableau, but actually are very useful. Think of collections as music playlists. You can have a playlist for my morning reports, my Friday afternoon reports, my monthly reports. So instead of having just one favorite bucket, you can kind of have different favorite buckets, and those are called collections. So if I hit collections, I have a few of them here. I could click new collection to create a new one. And by default, it names it Paul's Demo Collection. You can come up here and rename it, and we'll just call it, you know, Marquis Data Collection. And I can hit save. So now I have like a named list for this report content that I want, and I can add that to favorites. Like I said, anywhere there's a star, you can add a favorite. So yeah, I want that in my favorites. And then anywhere in Tableau that you see a report or dashboard, you can add it to this collection. You could click this button and go search for it if you want, but I tend to just kind of go back to my Explore menu, right? So here's all my stuff. I'll change it to views. And if I want to add something into, you know, my new collection, I can click the little dots here and say add to collection. And now my collections are here. I say, yeah, I want that in the Marquis Data Collection. And I want this one in the Marquis Data Collection. It's a really good way to kind of structure your analytical workflow, right? So if I come back over here into collections, Marquis Data Collections, there'll be two dashboards in here. It's also going to be in my favorites because I favorited this collection when I set it up. So I'd highly recommend, like, once you get some repeatable process, I would, at a minimum, favorite the content you access often. And I'd recommend you set up collections aligned to kind of a workflow in which you would expect to access that report. We are all super busy and we forget to do things. Collections is kind of a nice way to remember, oh yeah, on Fridays I need to do these 5 things, or every week I need to do these 2 things. So, and not a lot of people take advantage of collections, but the people that do, you could see are much more productive in Tableau than most other users. All right, so I've talked about how to find content, how to organize it, and now I want to actually go in and interact with the data. So I'm going to open up this dashboard. If you guys click Explore, if you click on Marquis IQ University, there's going to be a dashboard in here called Marquis IQ Basics. If you click on that workbook, I'm going to open up the sales trend analysis view or dashboard. You guys can search for it or however you want to get there. All right, let me reset my view because this is not what you guys see. All right, so this is what you guys see. So this is a very typical, you know, data dashboard for our clients. We typically have kind of our filters on the left, the visualization, the reported dashboard kind of in the main canvas area. So this is how Marquis would generally build our dashboards. Many of you on the call have other people building dashboards, and there's, you know, the filters might be at the top or on the right. Like, it's fine. This is just how we typically lay it out. I want to start the conversation with kind of this top area on the top of your window. That's kind of like the Tableau menu that I want to go through. There's a couple buttons in there that are very important. I'll keep reverting back to those as we go through the demo today. So we have a back button, and then we have kind of a forward button and a reset button. So as you start clicking, so if I click on this, for example, you'll notice that this reset view button shows up. Reset view is great. So if you click, you filter, and you're just kind of in the midst of some data analysis and you want to get back to how the dashboard was when you loaded it, you click reset view. You don't have to navigate out and reload the dashboard. You can click reset view. Um, we'll talk about a couple of these other buttons here later, but there is this concept of a view, which we'll talk about. And then on the top right is kind of where we have the sharing options. We can set up subscriptions. We could export. This is the export button. You can export it as an image, export the data. A lot of people want to export data, so that's the menu for exporting. You can load this in full screen, which gets rid of all of the tabs in browser. I don't ever click on that. And then we'll talk about sharing at the very end, right? So these are kind of like your in navigation controls. These are some of your kind of persisted controls, and these are your sharing controls. We'll talk about all of those today. All right, so when I started the webinar, I said, hey, a lot of people say, 80% of the data is not used, and usually it's because the dashboard was built some way that doesn't really work for me, right? And so I call that personalization, right? So whoever built this dashboard is trying to satisfy a lot of different people. But by doing that, you sacrifice satisfying any specific person, right? And the filters on the left, for example, are a good case. Right now, this filter says, hey, I want to look at the last 3 years. Okay, well, that's great. Well, what if I want to look at dates differently? If I click on here, I have the option to look at the last 3 years or whatever number, kind of the last years or the next years or the next quarters, months, weeks, but I don't actually have the ability to specify specific dates, right? So the way this author wrote this dashboard, it's called a relative date filter. It's all relative to today. So the last 3 years from today, or the next 3 years, or the prior year, or the current year, et cetera. But that might not be how I want to analyze the data. And here is the first problem we want to overcome, right? Like, what if you want a different filter control than the user built the dashboard with? Tableau, luckily, has the ability to allow you to personalize some of these filters. If you hover over date, it might be hard to see in my screenshot, but there's a little down arrow to the right of the word date. This down arrow lets you customize the filter. So I could change it to a range of dates, for example. And what you'll notice is now it's different. Now I have 2 dates with a slider bar. So now I can literally pick a date, whatever, January 12th to the 26th. I can pick any date range I want. Now I can go historically and in the future. I might have forecasts and sales on the same dashboard, but the relative date filter didn't allow me to do that. So on the filter controls, highly recommend, if it's not exactly what you want, clicking the little drop down arrow and changing it to what you want, right? So I changed this to a range. This is another good example where I have a sales manager. I have some sales managers, Chloe, John, and William, but I have the house account, right? I want to look at all the sales except the house account. Like house account doesn't really count against commissions, but as the territory manager, I want to add Chloe, John, and William. Well, how do I do that? I can't unselect the house account, right? Because there is no like unselect, except there is. If you come up to the dropdown, you could say, hey, I want to exclude this selection versus include it. So if I exclude it, now I'm looking at everybody except the house account. Notice that it's crossed out. It's kind of hard to see on my screenshot, but the house account is actually excluded from the data at this point, right? But what if I want to exclude John and the house account? I can't do that right now because I can only select one option. Again, come up here, change it to multiple value list. Now I can exclude John and the house account. I'm left with Chloe and William. The reason exclude filters are important is you might have a new person coming in, next month called Chelsea. Now Chelsea shows up. If you had only the names selected that you wanted, new people wouldn't roll in by default. So exclude filters are nice when you expect that the list will grow over time and you don't want to have to change your dashboard. Right, so toggling it between include and exclude, and also supporting one and many selections is very, very important. You can do all the same things here. This is a multi-select drop down. I could make it anything. I could make these excludes as well. I could say exclude office furniture, etc. Right? So just know that because somebody built the dashboard with filters the way they did doesn't mean that that's how they have to be for you. Okay. Now, I have changed all these filters, and if I reload this dashboard, I lose all my changes, right? I'd have to go reapply all these changes, which would be entirely unproductive and unfortunate. Tableau has the ability for you to save your view, right? Save your view essentially means, hey, the user interacted with the dashboard, they applied filters, they changed certain things, and they want to come back to that later, right? They want their own version of this dashboard. That's called a save custom view, right? So these filters are part of a custom view. So is the dashboard. I'll show you later. But I want to show you how to persist this now. So if I hit save custom view, I could say, you know, Paul's demo of exclude filters, right? And I can make this my default. So when I come into this dashboard next time and I say save, it's going to re-render the dashboard. I'm going to navigate out and just kind of show you what the experience is the next day, right? I come into this dashboard tomorrow. If I load this, the nice thing is all of my selections are already saved. This is a major productivity boost right here. This saves you all sorts of time. The people that are super fluent in Tableau take advantage of save views. Save views, like eliminate all the things that you don't have to click every single time when you run a report. I know some of the old reporting tools like reporting services and crystal reports, you'd have to go through and select 15 filters every time you'd want to run a report. And with Tableau, they've eliminated a lot of that disruption. Okay. Now, what if you want to get it back to the way the author had it, right? Like, okay, this is great, but now I want to get it back. That's also in this view. It's called the original view. You can click on the original view, and that's what the author published. Okay. So you kind of have the best of both worlds. You can create multiple views. You could see I have like 4 views in here. You can create as many as you, I mean, there's probably some limit, but no one's ever hit that limit. And that is like a major productivity boost. It's a personalization feature built into Tableau. Okay, so that's filters. I'm going to move into the view now, right? Interacting with the data. And we're going to talk about a few things just right out of the gate that you guys should all just know is available, and then I'll show you how to personalize it yourself. First thing I want to call out is what's called a tooltip, right? A little flyout window. It shows up everywhere you move your mouse in Tableau. It can be kind of annoying because it's always showing, but it's a way for the report author to put additional data into the view without cluttering up the view itself. So what I'm looking at right here is revenue shipped, right? So this is sales that is shipped by month and by region. You can see blue, green, red, and orange. And it's just revenue. So if I look at, let's just say May 23rd in consumer, they sold about 60,000, but I don't know what the profit ratio is. I don't know what the quantity is. All I can show on this graph is kind of one number, is sales. But in the tooltip, I add all sorts of other stuff. I got the total discount, I got the profit ratio, and the net profit for the segment that I'm looking at. I'm hovering over consumer in Americas, right? So blue is Americas. I'm in the consumer row, and that's the total. Well, what if I want to look at the total for the whole line, for example, right? I could click this, I could hit the control key, and sorry, control key is different on this keyboard, right? I can multi-select. And now you can see, oh, well, that's 17,000, has a different discount and profit ratio. So whatever you have selected is aggregated. You could see there's 4 items selected for a total of 60K, right? So you can kind of drag and drop or click and drag. So I could just highlight, oops, sorry. I could just highlight all these if I wanted to. and say, well, what was the sales for all of that? You could see that was 15,000. There's 55 items selected, 400,000 in total revenue, etc. So pay attention to the tooltip. There's a lot of great information in there for you that is not visible. It's not the primary measure on this dashboard, but it's useful. The other thing I'll call out is when you click on anything, what you'll notice is the grid below changes. So generally by default, we enable click interactions or auto filtering. So if I click on this, what was this? This was 25,000. You could see it's 25,000 down here. This grid filtered based on what I had selected. You could see Alan's in this one and Becky's in this one, right? So you could click almost anywhere in a dashboard and see that click interaction, consumer versus corporate versus home. You could see the totals are changing every time I click on it. I can click on a date. I could say, oh, November 23rd, that was 40,000 across all three segments, etc. So just kind of just expect to click, right? This is an interactive data discovery tool. This is not let's build a PDF and print it out type of tool. You can do that, but the power of Tableau is in the interactions that you have and the discovery. Now, kind of like we did with filters, what if you're a sales manager and for all of the segments, here we have consumer, corporate, and home office. And you want to know in November, what did we sell across all three for EMEA, for example, right? You want to kind of ask a different question. The way the report's built is these are separated, but you don't care about that. You just care about the total. And I don't have a total on here very easily. You can modify the view itself. So if I click on consumer and I hit the control key and click on all three of these, you'll notice that this little window pops up and I have a couple options. I can keep only and exclude. These will apply these as filters. So if I said keep only, which would make sense, let me actually do that one first. Corporate. Say I only want corporate. I can click keep only. What's going to happen is it's going to filter the whole dashboard on the corporate segment. I don't have a filter defined, but I was able to apply a filter because it was part of the dashboard. All the data in a dashboard generally is filterable, and you can click and interact with it to make it your own. Here's where I want to click the reset view because I can't like, I could undo that, but once I've gone a couple steps, I wouldn't be able to undo it. So I'm going to come here and click reset view, and it's going to reload the view the way I had it loaded. So keep only and exclude. If I click on corporate, let's say corporate is something I don't want, I could click exclude. I'm left with consumer and home office, right? So keep only, exclude. You could do that anywhere. I mean, honestly, you can click on this blue bar, and if you hover over it, you could say exclude that, right? So anything in the view, you could either say, I want to look at only that, or I want to get it out of the view altogether with keep only and exclude. I use that all the time. I typically will use keep only, exclude more than I use the filters because it's actually easier to do. Now, going back to the example I was giving where I don't want it broken out by three different segments, I want to look at sales across all segments. I don't care about this breakdown. I'm going to come over here and select these three rows. You see they're selected because they're blue, and it says 400 items selected. It's actually counting all the months on the right. But what I want to call your attention to is this little paper clip. So group members. So as a report consumer, I can change how the report is constructed. So I could say group these members. And now you could see I put them all in a string: consumer, corporate, home office, etc. It would say comma all or comma the rest or something if I had like 20 of them. It's not going to string them all together on the screen. But now I've taken those three rows and I've made it one row. So it's very easy now to see what did I sell in North America in July across all three. I don't have to click three different orange pills. I can, or segments. I can just consolidate it into the way I want it and look at sales. I now have an average of total sales by month. In the previous view, I had the average of each segment sales by month. So it's kind of cool if you need to look at something like an average, you can change the way the viz is set up, and the average will adjust appropriately, or whatever the guideline is. All the same interactions work. I can click on any of these cells and the grid below will update. Now, this is cool. I like this, Paul. But I want to look at January over January over January, right? Right? Like I just want to look at month over month or quarter over quarter or whatever I'm looking at. How can I do that? I mean, I have all the months here, but I really just want to focus my analysis on January's. I'm going to do the same thing I did kind of with the keep only before. I'm going to select January, for example. So I'll click on January. I'll hold down Control key. I'll click on January. I'll click on January. And that's all I have. Now that I have the 3 Januaries selected, I'll say keep only. And bam, now I'm looking at January to January to January. So on average in January's, we sell 39,000 across these four segments, right? So, you know, the idea here is that everything in Tableau generally is clickable. And if you can click on it, you can generally use it as a filter or change the group aggregation of that data. The last thing I'm going to show you on this view is what's called a drill across. A drill across says, hey, I've done some analysis on this one view. I want to go to another view that has different set of data. You can see in this bottom grid, I have a customer and category, but you might ask, well, what product did they buy? I don't have product here, right? But I do have product in another view. If I click on it, this tooltip will have this kind of green link in it, go to order details. This is something the report author has to build, so it's not always there. But this is why I try and get you guys to pay attention to these tooltips, because the tooltips, these flyout windows, have the ability to take you other places. So, so if I click on go to order details, it's actually going to take me to a whole new dashboard. And here I have the product name, right? It's not very interesting. I only have one, but they bought a keyboard. And what you can see is I'm actually on a different tab of this dashboard. I could click this tab to go back, or I can click the back button. Either way, I get back to the first tab, and you know I can click on this like what furniture did they buy? I could click on it and say, oh, they bought some halogen replacement type of thing. Either way, you can click on the tab or the back button, but just look for like green links in your windows, and those will take you to some tangential analysis to what you're looking at today, or some deeper analysis. All right. So that's a quick kind of boot camp on interacting with the dashboard. Let's now assume that this is perfect. Like this is exactly what I want. What I'd like is the system. What I'd like is to not have to come in here every day and relook at data and look for issues maybe where I need to research more. Can the system just send it to me? And the answer is yes, the system can just send it to you. So if I come up here, I'm going to save this view, because now this is the view I want sent to me. I don't want how I started. I want this view here. So I'll just say January, January report. And I won't make it my default, but I'll just call it January and click save. You'll see that this blue now says January. Now that I have a January view, one, I could come back in here anytime and look at it, which is nice. The data will be refreshed every time I come in. In this case, it's only going to be January's, but it's kind of a bad example. But I can have this emailed to me. So that's what a subscription is. If I click on subscription, this is your subscription dialog, how you set it up. You could say, yeah, I want this view or the whole workbook. In this case, there's actually 3 tabs in this workbook. So you could say, I want the whole workbook or just the view. You could say, don't send it if it's empty. That applies in certain cases where maybe you have a report that shows all of the defects for today. but maybe there are no defects today. So the bar graph would be empty. It would be smart enough to not send that out. So you don't get an email with a blank attachment. So you can use that if that applies. You could send it as a PDF and or an image, whatever you want. You could title it. You could write yourself a message. You could set the frequency. So typically you'll do it on a schedule, right? So it's already selected by default. And then you could set the schedule by clicking this little arrow. You could have it every day, every hour, whatever makes the most sense. You could say, you know, daily on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. This is in the time zone that's listed here, 1 p.m. and hit save. And now this would at 1 p.m. every single Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's going to refresh the data. It's going to take an image of the dashboard, and then it's going to email it to you. And it's going to look identical to this. If you click on it in your email, it's going to launch Tableau and load the view as it came in through the subscription. So if you get the email and the image is like, oh yeah, no issues, you just delete it. You don't even have to go into Tableau, just delete the email. But if you find that there's something interesting, you can click on it and it'll launch you out to Tableau and you could explore it even more. Two other things I will show you before we wrap is the download. So download as an image, literally just takes a screenshot. I typically just use my screenshot tool. I don't actually ever download the image. I don't think I've ever done that. Downloading data in crosstabs for most of you is this kind of the same thing because of your permissions. You have to have an elevated license to download kind of the real data. So we recommend people download the crosstab, and I'll show you why here in a second. So if I download the crosstab, the crosstab is going to be an Excel kind of version of the data that you're looking at. The way it works is you have to pick which view in this dashboard you want. So orders by month is the top here. The customer summary is at the bottom. So I'm going to click customer summary. This will default to wherever your mouse is. So if I click down here, for example, and then did download crosstab, it's going to already have the customer summary selected. Now, what we recommend is you always select CSV, not Excel. This is a good example where the first column has blanks and 3 rows after it. If you did Excel, you'll get Aaron on 1 row and 2 blanks afterwards. So your auto filters don't work very well. CSV works really good. So hit CSV, download, and you have to save it somewhere, etc. So now it's a download and you can open it up. Let's see here. Open. There you go. And see what you can see here is that the first row is repeated. So if you put an auto filter on, it's actually going to function correctly. So, so we recommend CSV as your crosstab download typically. All right. What else? PDF. That is what it is. It doesn't support scrolling. So you can see that this window scrolls. If you download this as a PDF or an image, you're only going to get what you see, right? So it's not like it's going to extend your whole report and show you all the rows. So if you want it as a PDF, you can download it. And same with PowerPoint. PowerPoint's kind of nice if you have multiple tabs in this workbook like I do. If I hit PowerPoint and if I said, let's see here, from this workbook, select all, hit download. So if I selected all the views in the workbook, it's actually going to create a tab in PowerPoint for each of the views, which is kind of nice. So let's see if I open that up. So it kind of puts a title page on, and then it creates an image of each of the views that were in my file. So if you have like a MOR or a QBR or whatever you guys call it that has 20 tabs, you can hit download as a PowerPoint and you get all 20 instantly. Then you can go put your notes on those as you will. All right. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about is sharing. So most people now have Slack or Teams or Google Chat on this call. I think all of you have one of those. So this is a nice way if you want to send a link to somebody to your dashboard. So you click share, you could say copy link, everything, all your interactions are going to be kind of embedded in this link. So if you filtered on something, that filter will go with the link. So you copy the link and then you can paste it into your chat software, or you can paste it in an email or whatever you want to do with it. It will, anyone who clicks on it will be routed back to Tableau. If they have permissions to the document, it'll let them open it. If you don't have permissions, it's not going to work. And it will apply the filter. So if you're having a dialogue with someone, hey, what's going on with sales in January? You could just kind of copy the link, send it to them, and over chat or Slack or Teams, you can kind of have a dialogue back and forth. You don't have to copy images, paste them in email, etc. So this is becoming much more popular as kind of the chat era in corporate America has kind of taken off, right? So and there's with Slack, because Slack is owned by Tableau, which is owned by Salesforce. I think there's going to be a lot of future integrations if you guys do use Slack. That's going to make that experience even better. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up and let you guys. Let's go back to where's my PowerPoint. All right, so what did we learn? To kind of wrap up, we learned how to find data using the Explore menu, collections, favorites, how to interact. Don't be constrained by how the author built your dashboard. You can personalize it in a lot of different ways. You can't break anything, so go ahead and click around and try and create saved views. They're a really good way to improve your productivity. And then we learned how to download and export and share data using the Tableau menus on the right. Chelsea's going to post a survey for you in the chat window now and send it to you guys via email after this. But if you guys need any help, and it's very common when you reset your MFA that we need to do something, like you get a new phone, we typically need to reset your MFA for you. So just email customer success at Marquis Data and we'll take care of you. With that, I'm going to say thanks for hanging on for 50 minutes. I appreciate it. If you guys need anything, just holler. We're here to help. Have a good one. Talk to you.